Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you to the Plenary 14A. What is the art of the startup? While we wait our moderator and another panelist to join in, I request Mr. B.S. Srinivas, Secretary ABI, Government of Karnataka, Center of Excellence, Animation, Visual Effects, Gaming and Comic Sector, Bangalore, to please give his remarks.
Good morning to all of you. Shall we start?
Yes, please.
Yeah, hi. Good morning to all of you. Thank you, Raki and Nirja. Today, we're going to talk about what is the art of startup and ecosystem for startups. I'm happy to be here. I'm Srinivas. I'm the Secretary of ABI, an association committed to the growth of animation, visual effects, gaming, and comics in Karnataka. And we have been constantly working on a lot of projects, a lot of initiatives with the support of the government, ranging from skill development to ecosystem development to infrastructure development to incubation studios to helping startups find their way in this industry. So this is highly important at this point of time, in this time of crisis, to discuss about what would be the situation post-corona, the post-situation, post the pandemic, and how startups could continue to survive and look at the next wave of growth. Rough time. So I think as we wait for Mr. Rajesh Jog to join in and start with his questions, probably I could throw more like how we are supporting startup culture in our state and what all we have created in order to help them benefit and what steps that we have taken in giving them the best facilities available with the best support with the help of the state government and the Department of ITBT. So I myself, being an entrepreneur about more than 2 decades back, was one of the first to start animation and visual effects education in the country in the mid-90s. And for the last 5 years now, I have been heading this association of ABI and spearheading the initiatives that the state of Karnataka is giving us to follow on. And we are taking a lot of initiatives ourselves to see that we are able to contribute to this entire sector, especially the startups in the sector. That's my 2 points, and probably later on when we start the questions, probably we'll throw more light on what are the initiatives and how we are helping. Thank you.
May I request Mr. Kabir Kumar Das, Director, Software Technology Parks of India, to make his remarks. You are on mute mode.
Thank you.
So kindly unmute yourself. Mr. Das, yes.
Yes, good morning to all. Okay. Basically, startups, undoubtedly, every one of us know that startups have a lot of opportunity in this entertainment industry, and which is changing very fast. The opportunity, in my opinion, can be divided into 2 broad groups. That's the technology and the content. By technology, I mean like video compression, identity management, analytics, content personalization, and device-specific experiences, etc. That pave the way for services to connect to their audience. 2 specific pain points in these domain, in these particular areas, is the price of original content and finding of the content. Now, providers today work in 2 models, particularly, like the subscription model and the ad support model. Ad makes us irritated unless we want to see it. So a lot of work can be done here to personalize the ads and be more intelligent and more practical. so that the future definitely would again look into the ad support model because the price has to come down for original content. That's one thing. And then um, other on the other pinpoint, there will be a huge opportunity for all of us to try to find out if we can have some kind of a solution, some kind of a sensing solution for video, as we are doing today for like content through Google's and others. So very user-friendly video searching technology will be very helpful. Now, as far as the content is concerned, use of AR, VR, AI, drone also to get better views and other things, gesture control, and curated content will be the focus. Um, we in STPI are particularly in our Northeast initiatives, which we call OCTAN, are primarily trying to attract startups for this opportunity in the area of content development by coming up with new ideas for products and services. And we are putting 8 inter-network COE, Center of Excellences, with interrelated domains such as animation, VFX, AR, drone applications, digital graphics, IoT application, data analytics. So they can work together to come up in a big way for the entertainment industry. Although that's not our primary focus, but that is definitely one of the focus. So we have announced the first round of challenge hunt, which is closing on the 7th of September. And Octane comes with comprehensive support, including seed fund of about 25 lakhs. So I hope the startups participating in the session will visit octane.stpi.in for details and also spread the message to the deserving ones. With these opening remarks, I would like to attend to questions later on, if any.
Thank you, Prabir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Srinivas.
Hi.
Hello.
So sorry about some technical glitches getting on. I believe Vishal is also facing similar problems, and so let's see. Let's hope some of our other panels can join. But in the meantime, let me kick off a couple of small things here. So thank you, Prabir, for your opening comments. I don't know whether Srinivas, you've also made any opening comments yourself.
Yes, I just finished. I was the first to start.
Okay, so I haven't heard that, but thank you very much for those. And since we have the two of you, let's start with a discussion about what I feel is a very useful discussion. It's really about the financing and the funding of many of these initiatives. India, I mean, I've been with this sector for a very long time, right from the very beginning. In fact, was also associated with the CII's first ever conference in this space called Intermedia 20 years ago, when Chandrajit was running CII West in Mumbai. But I've had a range of experiences with gaming companies, with animation companies, with all across the sector, and we've always struggled with the venture capital model of investing coming into this sector in a reasonably sizable way. And so one has always felt that the government must intervene in markets like India, where private capital flows are limited or are unable to take these kind of risks. And so both of you represent that in some ways, being able to get government support and funding for both your projects. And so I'd like you to help us understand what your particular sector in Karnataka, in Bangalore, is doing. What is the support level for entrepreneurs and incubation support that you can provide? And in the future, would this and can this be replicated in other parts of the country? Like, for example, I find what Mr. Prabir is doing in the Northeast also very exciting. That's an exciting part of the country, needs support. There are other parts of the country that also need support, and so please shed some light on how the government got involved, what kind of funding is available, and can this be replicated elsewhere? Srinivas.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. Thanks for that. Just before answering, I have seen that other people also have joined. So I think Vishal also has joined the discussion. So would you like to finish with my answer and then start with his, or do you want me to do that?
Yes, please. Since you, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Rajesh. The government of Karnataka has always been at the forefront of bringing out initiatives to help out the AVC sector. As way back in 2012, Karnataka became the first state to implement the AVGC policy, a separate AVGC policy, and later followed it up with the version 2 of the policy in 2017. So the one of the policy, we have helped the government and the department to frame the policy, keeping in mind the benefit of startups. So there are a lot of initiatives that we have been taking over the years. Some of them include having a regular B2B summit. We have already done about three successful versions of the B2B summits in the last 2 years, less than 2 years, where we have brought in investors and publishers and buyers from across the world. And we have given an opportunity to not only Karnataka studios, but also to the startups of across the country. It was not limited only to Karnataka. Though it was supported by our association and the government, but it was thrown open to the entire country. And we had studios, startups from across the country coming in and pitching in their ideas to these buyers who had come from across the world. So one is the B2B summit, and then we support with international market visits for the startup studios. That is limited only to Karnataka, and where the startup studios would be given benefits and funding to visit these international markets, be it MIPCOM or Philmart or other various across the world. And they get a chance to go and pitch their products to the global players. And then we also have the incubation centers that we have set up one of its kind center of excellence in Bengaluru, where we have two kinds of, we divided into two. One side we have the production facilities, the post-production facilities with all the motion capture and still capture and photogrammetry and all the facilities. The other side we have the finishing school and the incubation studio. So the incubation studio, we give the space to startups. We help them with the hardware, software, net facility, everything that is required for them to run. It's just a plug and play facility. They can come, take however number of seats that they want and start operating and working on their ideas at a very subsidized price. And then we also support them when a program called Elevate gets announced by the government of Karnataka. Elevate is a exclusive event done by the Department of ITBT and Government of Karnataka, which is to fund 100 startups every time it announces. So I think there also we have done about 4-5 rounds of Elevate, where every time AVGC also gets a significant space in that, and they get to pitch their ideas, and the funding is given by the government. A fund is kept aside to help these startups. It's called the Idea to POC Fund. So they have an idea, they can they get the fund to do the proof of concept, and it's a grant. It's not a fund, it's a grant. And then later on, once they're ready with the proof of concept, to take it further, they're also eligible for a fund, where a separate AVGC fund has been kept aside by the government. So one is the grant that is given for the Idea to POC. The other one is the fund which is given for further progress. So apart from that, there are a lot of incentives also. Yeah.
And the fund, so you can keep it interactive. So the fund will take an equity position in those companies.
Yeah.
It will take an equity position.
The grant, but the fund. Yeah.
Yeah,
The idea to POC is a grant. Yeah.
right, right. And have any of these graduated to the point where they've been able to take in commercial capital from outside investors?
Yes, 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 yes. There have been already success stories where people have been able to get in funding from other sources also, based on whatever they have achieved here. And there are quite a few success stories. Like from a technical point of view, from the pitch point of view, an Indian pitch won one of the top five pitches in MIPCOM a couple of years back, and they had got the fund to develop that idea to POC. Then they went to the next level, and then they went and presented the pitch deck there, and it became one of the top five pitches and the only Indian pitch, and that was from Karnataka. So like yeah, so there are a lot of success stories if you have to add up to that. So that one instance to remember, I immediately recollected. But there are a lot of things like and the policy also has a lot of incentives for startups. Marketing budgets, and if they get a particular amount of order from outside, they get a reimbursement of an X percentage of that back to them. A lot of benefits, and things like electricity benefits and all these kind of things that they always require.
I'm gonna come back to you, Srinivas, in just a few minutes. Let's bring in Saloni. Hi, Saloni, are you there?
Hi, Rajesh.
How are you doing? We can't see you.
Very well. I'm sorry, my video doesn't seem to work. Today is not a good day for technology.
No, it is not. But let's carry on nevertheless. And welcome to the panel. For those who may not have may not know Saloni or know what she's done, she's had a brilliant career with I think KPMG to start, and then finally with Morgan Stanley in London. Help me understand the transition from being a accountant and investment banker to becoming a founder of a company called Truly Social.
Yeah, I was I spent 7 years in investment banking and private equity. So after doing $10 billion of M&A deals, I can only do so many more. and yeah, I used to be a passionate gamer. I decided to build a company which would have female protagonists, because I realized that if I ever see a Indian female protagonist in a game, I'll probably have to just build it myself. So I ended up building a company called Social, which then took me on to a fund called London Venture Partners, which was actually a pioneer in seed stage fund, which backed some of the early winners who are big name brands, including Super Celebrity, Natural Motion, Fish, and now to becoming co-launching Lumikai, which is an India-focused interactive media and gaming fund, where we will be looking at backing gaming and interactive companies at the seed and stage.
Fantastic. And so, what is, I mean, we were discussing just before you got on between private flows of capital to the sector and government flows and government-supported incubation efforts. What is your view? I mean, do you see a lot of interest in this? I mean, I'm very pleased, first of all, on both counts. One, to see focused private equity, focused private capital coming to this sector. And second, of course, the fact that you're a woman and makes me very happy. And so, help me understand this. Do you see a lot of private capital looking at opportunities like these?
So, I think globally there has been a shift where gaming as an asset class is now suddenly starting being appreciated. So we are seeing the rise of sector-specific funds across the world. This has been a recent phenomenon. This started happening in the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, LVP was the original pioneer, and after that, too much recently, we've seen funds like Makers and Play Ventures and Bitcraft, etc. emerge globally. Our thesis behind setting up Lumikai was that there's twofold. One is obviously the macros of what's happening in the India market from a digital entertainment and interactive perspective. And the second is that venture capital for games is very different from venture capital from too often gaming companies are analyzed and evaluated the same way you would do other tech platforms or e-commerce platforms, and sadly that that sometimes doesn't lead to the best outcomes. also in India, games investing has been, as you very correctly pointed out, been traditionally undercapitalized, right? Over the last 4 5 years, maybe 300 to $400 million invested in the market, but majority of that has happened within the last 24 to 36 months. So it's a recent phenomenon. I think for our case, we just felt that game usage, adoption, monetization, and infrastructure had converged in a very interesting way for India at the moment. So the timing is just right for India's game creators and creatives to be now funded by venture capital. And we're seeing a lot of interest. In fact, our investor base is some very large global and iconic games and media companies across the world who are now either looking to build a presence in India or looking to cement it. So, yeah, I think there's tremendous interest.
So going back, I mean, just to stay with that story for a bit, we were in, I think it was 99 or maybe 2000. We were among, we were the first people to look at any of this stuff proactively. We invested in two ventures back then, which might have classified as in the AVGC sector. We missed Vishal's company, India Game. Hi, Vishal. Welcome to the panel. We missed Vishal's company. We invested in Alok's company called Contest to Win, which became Games to Win. And then we also had a lovely company called Club Greetings. You might recollect that, Vishal, from back then. But
they used to run it.
Yeah. And so I think it's been we were considered the brave new world then of investing, and now I see companies like yours, Saloni, which are really music to my ears. That there is focused capital coming to the sector, and all power to you. Let's get back to Saloni in a minute. Thank you, Vishal, for coming on board, despite all our tech challenges this morning. Welcome to the panel. And what I would suggest is, while we've heard opening statements from Prabir, Srinivas, and Saloni, why don't I take this opportunity to, first of all, welcome you to the panel, welcome you to CII's conference, and make just a couple of small comments about how long I've known you. And all the lovely stuff that you've been doing since. So for those who don't know Vishal, and Vishal is an icon in the startup ecosystem in this country. I have seen Vishal from 1998, 98, something like this. And I always wondered, what is this cherubic, boy-faced entrepreneur doing with games? And you were my guru, okay, and you have taught me a lot, and I thank you for that. And it's been a wonderful journey. And India Games then I think was majority invested by Tom, and then finally sold to UTV and Disney. Vishal also managed the digital business for Disney UTV for a while before founding Goki. And Goki too, I think, is a fantastic early look at healthcare and gaming in a wonderful combination. And I'm sure that you'll tell us a little bit more about that and what lies ahead for this lovely entrepreneur. All over to you, Vishal.
So thanks, Rajesh. And I remember you from your Waygate days, actually. And you had told me that Waygate is opposite of Gateway. But that discussion which we had. Coincidentally, I also want to acknowledge the help I got from STPI. India Games was one of the early members of STPI, because a lot of our revenue used to come by distributing our games globally. And we became member of STPI, and we enjoyed the tax-free status for quite some time, and I just wish that we could get some of that again. But STPI has been a great partner. Of course, I've met Saloni also in the past, so I think it's good to see all familiar people. I think clearly the entire digital entertainment and gaming space is right now at a very interesting threshold. just yesterday, the Prime Minister and the government announced banning of a number of apps, most noticeably being some of the games like PUBG, which were doing millions of dollars in revenue. And I think, the question here, and I keep telling people that gaming is an industry which is all about quality. I think a consumer, since all games are free, you fundamentally download the game for free and then you pay only if you enjoy the game in form of transactions and other things. So with that being the same consumer has access to Fortnite, the best possible, Candy Crush or PUBG. So the fundamental reason why people are playing these games are not because they are from India or China or America. It's because they love the game itself. And I think that's the difference, that when you start playing in the gaming arena, your competition is not a studio in Bangalore or Delhi or Mumbai. Your competition is the world. And the consumer is not, because it's free. It's not like, you're buying anything cheaper or expensive. It's free. And unlike the movie business, where there is some element of, local taste, and of course, we have seen that with Ludo King. Ludo King being the local flavor, being adopted well. Even in the local taste, the game production needs to be at a tremendously high quality. So I think one problem, and I think here the investors, I want to kind of say that they all want to build gaming companies from India and gaming studios to be world class. But when it comes to funding, they're saying, hey, because you're in India, you need lower funding, your costs are lower, everything is lower. So I think there is on the start of it, there is a gap in understanding, and I'm glad somebody like Saloni is coming because traditional VCs just don't understand the gaming business.
Absolutely.
The second problem in the gaming business is, and I want to use this word, and I know people are going to hate me for saying that, it is the gambling problem in gaming. There is a ton of real money gaming, what is very smartly called real money gaming. I'm not a big fan of that at all, because it is not real money gaming, it is gambling. And proof be told, a lot of app stores, Google doesn't allow these games on their app stores. Apple doesn't allow games on their app stores. But because of some random judgment somebody got from some court, VCs are pouring money in this sector. And I'm warning a lot of these investors that they're going to burn their hands, and then they will say gaming industry is bad. It is not the gaming industry. That is a very different gambling industry. And when companies invest in such high-risk companies, they need to understand that is not the gaming business. So I always want to start by differentiating what gaming as an industry is. Gaming as an industry is what kids play, what you and I would play, not what people are betting their daily wages or their monthly salaries on. That's a different. It is a business. I'm not saying it may be a great business, but it cannot be considered in the gaming space. So I want to make that differentiation. Thirdly, I think that gaming has now gone beyond gaming. And I want to use the word meta gaming because, like I said, Goki. So when I sold my company to Disney, I had a non-compete, so I could not do gaming. But that didn't stop me to apply gaming to a very interesting problem of healthcare. The problem of healthcare is nobody wants to go to the doctor, especially now in COVID. Healthcare is not fun, and the apps are very boring. So at one end, consumers are using Instagram and Facebook and Uber and such amazing apps, but the experience of using healthcare is so pathetic. You have to you book an appointment on one of these apps, the appointment is never taken on time, the apps are very, very poor quality. So there is an overall problem that the consumer expectation is very different when it comes to experiences. So at Goki, my idea was that how do we weave gaming into the experience of health. In fact, interestingly, even now, the Goki users are not called patients or customers. They are called players because we believe that what people are doing are playing the game of life, which is all about being healthy and increasing your immunity. So gaming, I would say, has a lot more broader context given the space. And we know Byju's is doing a great job of using a lot of a lot of gamification into what they are doing. So I think that the time of this conference and event is perfect because in COVID, we see a huge jump in video consumption and gaming. And clearly, I'm expecting a lot of activity in this sector.
Thanks, Vishal. I know that we're crunched on time because of all the tech issues. So let me just stop you there for a minute, and I'll come back to you with a couple of questions and bring in Ravi. Is Ravi on board? Hi, Ravi. Ravi, you're on mute if you are here. No, I don't. Ravi. Hi, I don't see you, but I can hear you, but not very clearly.
I'm on a call.
Ravi, I think you need to get, closer to the mic. Maybe, I don't know what you have to do, but.
Hey, can you hear me?
Much better now, yes. And we can see you too.
Sorry about that.
Hi, Ravi.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Welcome to the panel. Welcome to the conference. Just a quick introduction, and then let's get an opening statement from you. For those who don't know Ravi, he is a man who has worn multiple hats over the years. And he started, of course, his career with founding a company, SQA, I forget what the three initials.
SQA Technologies.
SQA, which got acquired by VM Logic, and then VM Logic itself was acquired by Citrix, and then Ravi has been at the helm of product development, at NASCOM, and done a bunch of work in incubation and startups, and currently has founded and running a company called QuickPod. So Ravi needs no introduction as such, but if you've ever been in the space of technology and IT and product development anywhere in the landscape for the past several years, you could not have not run into Ravi. So welcome to the panel, Ravi. We'd love to hear from you on how you're seeing this whole AVGC sector shaping up and how you're participating in it. Welcome.
Yeah, Rajesh, thank you. And, honestly, I'm the one non-gaming person on this panel, so I will defer to Vishal, my good friend, who's clearly an expert, and all the rest of you. But let me give you my perspective from the outside, right, looking in terms of what I think maybe both challenges and opportunities for gaming entrepreneurs, right? I think Vishal has already pointed out to a few things. The gambling issue, the whole thing of this being a completely hits-driven business, right? I think that's something we need to find a way to address, right? Because I think investors, while they're looking for home runs, they're not looking to place necessarily bets on a roulette table that they don't understand, right? So I think that's where you need people like Vishal to become VCs, so that they can then raise a few $100 million to go bet where they understand the DNA of a gaming entrepreneur and the fabric that makes games work, right? So I think it's falsely viewed as an ephemeral business when actually it's a platform business, right? If it's done right. And it should be viewed as that. Lots of people think, I may invest a bunch of bucks in games and the company doesn't survive because it doesn't have a flagship game, right? And that's true, but so is it true for every other company. They all have a flagship product finally that's the cash cow, right? That then they build a platform around. So I think similarly in gaming. Now, what is the opportunity I see? Clearly all you guys are familiar with this, and Saloni gals too. It's just, I think you're at that inflection point. Vishal mentioned the ban on foreign apps coming in. I think foreign apps are coming in because of the vacuum. I don't think we have enough games here. We'd have enough attention being paid to quality. In games, experience matters more than anything, I think. while experience matters in all products, in games, you're one click away from both gaining a customer, losing a customer, and making money, right? Practically. I mean, I don't see any other situation where you're one click away from all this happening at the same time. In games, it truly is the case in some sense. And it may not even be a click anymore. It might be just a motion or a swipe away, right? And you're gone. So I think experience matters massively. I think for India, clearly bandwidth, devices, all that is coming together, along with this, at least this opportunity to build localized games, given a little bit of ban on the foreign games flooding in, right? The other is the monetization model. I think, it's truly now we've got a model that can be monetized, right? And brought together. So that's, I think, another huge opportunity. Now, given all that, I think, gaming is a tough business, and as is all entrepreneurship in my mind, right? And so it's quite a lonely path, and gaming probably is even more lonely because there are not enough peers and enough support system, right? And it's a business that probably taxes you on all dimensions, from design to software development to distribution. Making sure you got all the right partnerships, and you've got to build momentum really fast, or else you don't get that momentum going, right? So I think it probably you need the maximum entrepreneur to succeed in gaming, more so than most other places.
Thank you, Ravi. Can I stop you there for a second?
Absolutely.
I know we might be able to extend the session by a few more minutes, provided CII is okay with it. But I know that Saloni needs to run, so let me just place a quick question to her.
Sure.
Get her views. I know she said that she has a hard stop at 11. So Saloni, I've often thought about this in terms of how do you actually invest in not just gaming, but this whole sector. It's not just gaming, but your particular expertise is in gaming. But the sector has had a lot of issues with classic venture capital investment coming into it, because it's kind of partly content, partly tech, and so on and so forth, right? So one quandary, one question that has always been in the back of my mind is, do you do a spray and pray approach and actually invest in projects rather than companies? Because some of that corporate infrastructure is missing, right? In many of these companies, you might find a very talented game developer or a very talented animator or very talented visual special effects guy or girl, or but they're not able to pull together the rest of the stuff that's required to build companies. So one question was, can you or would you, from your fund, or have you seen other examples where you might be able to invest in projects, in actual games rather than the company itself? And the second question is, the classic conundrum of getting a Series A investment and then having this Series B trap, and then not showing enough leg to be able to get a higher valuation or a step up in valuation. Can you foresee a situation where you build a platform as a company and you put in 20, 30, 40, $50 million into it, and eventually the founder's equity will anyway balance out? So your view, Saloni.
Yeah, so I think we've touched upon it a little bit too, with Vishal and Ravi jumping in as well. So look, I mean, everybody keeps saying that games is a hit business, and my point of view is that, well, so is venture capital. So, at the end of the day, you have to mitigate for that risk. And for us, the right strategy is to do a combination of both. So we look at 4 pillars around the game ecosystem. So we look at content plays, which could be various genres. Within gaming and gaming content, we look at platform plays, we look at tools, tech, and then we look at infrastructure plays. So it is essentially to support the entire ancillary ecosystem of a games company. Now, when we look at gaming companies and founders, we wouldn't necessarily back a project because that leans more on project finance. we are very open to backing founders who have the right skill set with the right content ideas, and we're very comfortable taking those early bets, making them iterate on that content. Our thesis also is that at least at the early stage, founders need 3 shots at goal to be able to get it right. So, they need to have enough runway to be able to iterate, to experiment, to fail, to try again until they get it right. And I think that's a very important part of games investing. And the secondary part is also capital is only one of the problems games developers face. There is access to talent, which is a problem. There is access to best practices. There is the analytical sophistication required, the rapid iteration to build large successful gaming companies, along with the expertise in live ops, etc. So it's an incredibly complex business that until and unless you have the right investors or the right strategic partners on that journey, it can be it's very difficult to get to the next stage, and that's what we're hoping to change with Lumikai. The third aspect is when done right, we know that games companies reach inflection points very early and very quickly. So games can become profitable also very quickly, and there are enough people on this panel who probably verify that. And these are companies that also now we're seeing successful companies come out of India as well. And the magic of supporting games companies happens at the early stage, and that's what we're hoping to be able to complement. Sorry, does that answer and give you some context?
Yes, thank you, Saloni. I know you need to run, so may I take this opportunity to thank you for your time, and good luck with Lumikai, and good luck with your investments, and hopefully we will connect one of these days in Mumbai or Goa or wherever else we find ourselves.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. It was so nice to meet everybody. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye. Do we have anybody from the CII? I know we have past our time, but can we extend this? Rakhi or?
Yes, please. We can extend for another 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. So let's get back to our conversation.
There are 2 questions in chat box which I have written, which we have got from the audience. So if you may like to take them as well.
Sure. Where do I read this? I'm not able to read this, but
the chat box.
Can you articulate the question? I am not able to read it.
Do you think private arbitration could improve the legal and financial business practices for startups and freelancers in the creative gig economy? That's the first question. Second is, what are your thoughts on educating Indian creative legal and commerce for startups and freelancers?
Okay. Shall we get Ravi to take the first one? Ravi?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm here. So I'm not sure how litigious the gaming industry is, but if it's a question of protecting IP because there's so much creative involved, possibly, and a concept in gaming involved, then I think, maybe there's frameworks that we need to put in place. I would actually defer to Vishal or somebody else on, how you protect IP specifically in gaming. That's different than maybe other content and other software attributes, right?
Vishal?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, right, this is like any other industry, right? So it's not different than any other marketplace-based economy. So I don't think so. Whatever would apply to Uber or Ola would apply to gaming. There's nothing specifically different.
Are there other questions, Nirja? No. Okay, so let me ask you, Vishal. I think I've been following your career trajectory and have been a big fan of what you've built and what you continue to do. Let me ask you. I mean, I always find once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur, right? Okay, so you have worn many hats in your entrepreneurial journey. What next?
So, like I said, right, I think Goki continues to grow, and I think we are going to be India's biggest consumer healthcare play because of our consumer angle on healthcare. But at the same time, I have now, in fact, that's my third connection with Bangalore. I have co-founded a gaming company now, and we are getting back into gaming. It's called Encore Studios, and Encore is out of Bangalore. And the goal of Encore is to create IPs. So I think the value and what Ravi was talking about, right? Gaming is not a trading business that you buy a game and then you sell a game. It is not a portfolio business. It's what I call an IP business. And then you have a portfolio of IPs. And over a period of time, if you can produce 5, 10, 15 IPs, and even if 2 or 3 are successful, that changes the game. And then with that success, you are building other brands, as we call it. And I think one great example is Supercell with Clash of Clans, and now they've continued their success on that. And I think that's the model followed pretty much everywhere. But I think there is an opportunity now across various categories. So once there is IP, and we are going to be announcing a number of Indian games, as we put it. And when I say Indian, it is going to be made in India, but at world-class quality. We are not talking about, games which are going to be of low production values. These are going to be extremely high production value products, and you'll be hearing about that shortly. I think from an opportunity perspective, I think VC should be wary of investing in games if they don't understand gaming. And I think my first question to any gaming investor is, when was the last time you played a game? And if the investor has no idea about gaming, then they are gambling. And that's why a lot of investors have lost a lot of money in the gaming business. India is the graveyard of investors who have lost money in gaming, as you know, over the last, 10, 12 years, 1990, if you assume that there are so many gaming companies who've got funded. But from an exit, when I say exit, means somebody actually successfully selling and making money in a gaming company, there are not many examples. And that's because of people's lack of understanding. And one example I want to give you here is that there was a big shift which happened in gaming in 2012, 2013. That's a shift from mobile operators to app stores. There was a time the entire gaming industry was dominated by mobile operators and VAS. It was coming, the whole revenue was driven by VAS. But now the VAS business has completely crashed. And now it is all dominated by app stores. And app stores are very democratic. They are going to incentivize games which are good. We are seeing good traction. So you cannot fake success by just getting your games artificially featured and revenue being generated. But even now, investors don't understand the differences on these things. So I think I'm glad to see people like Saloni getting into the investment game. They do understand the business. And I think as more professional gamers or people with gaming background look at investing and mentoring companies, you will be seeing a lot more success stories coming out of India. I mean, just to give you the best example, the most successful gaming company in India is Ludo King, which is completely self-funded. The guy, Vikas, was working with India Games, one of the smartest guys we had from programming, and he was very passionate about making this Ludo game, and he went and built it on his own pretty much. And today, he's doing millions of dollars in revenue with zero external funding. So this whole concept that I only need funding to become big is absolutely not true, especially in the world of gaming. And, even 3 people with enough passion can put together a great game, which can be a big success.
Thanks, Vishal. Any last thoughts, Ravi? We have, I'd like to hear from Prabir and Srinivas as well.
No, I just say that, I think gaming probably is possibly among the entrepreneurial ventures you can do, both most challenging and maybe most satiating too. It's probably one of the few areas where you could be obsessively involved with your product on a daily basis, right? If you build a HR SaaS product, you may not use it every day. The gaming product, you might have everybody involved on a daily basis, right? Playing it and consuming it as a consumer yourself, right? So I think it could be a very satisfying. Not only can you make money, you can have fun and you can learn a lot, right? But you've got to be really resilient and push hard, right? Because it's a tough business, as is all entrepreneurship. And you need to wear many, many hats to get it done right,
Thanks.
Good luck. Thank you. I have to drop off, Rajesh. Unfortunately, you have a conflict.
Well, thanks for your time on the panel.
Thank you.
for your insights, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Good seeing you, Vishal. Bye-bye.
Same here. Bye.
Prabir, last thoughts on STPI, Octane, the Northeast. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, Rajesh, one thing I would like to share with our experiences of more than 30 years in STPI, working with the startups, and my personal experience of more than 20 plus years. Two things I would like to highlight, and some touch has been done by Vishal already on those. One, that is, it's not the capital that any entrepreneur should only look at. They mostly miss out the social capital part. And the social capital is the strength that STPI has always been giving, and we have seen people getting into success primarily based on social capital rather than capital. That's one thing. The second thing I have observed over the years is unless you look for a global quality, you even cannot sell locally or nationally. Domestic market is not penetrable unless you have a global quality, because the global products will come and rather dominate you. So that's the secret of success of STPI story, because over the last 30 years, all those IT companies in the country were startups for us at some point of time. So what we have seen that all of them had actually focused in an international market in global domain. And then on much later time, they had tried to look at the country's needs. So they already acquired global quality, and that's why they could give equivalent products to the domestic consumers who could not refuse it. Now, if you start from the local to the global, I think that doesn't work. So that's one big observation I would like to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabir. Thank you for your time on the panel. I think we are actually out of time, but I'm going to ask for last comments from Srinivas as well. We can't hear you, Srinivas.
Sorry. Thank you, Rajesh. Just adding to what Vishal and Prabir spoke about, especially if you're talking about gaming and talking about, it's not about the size of the company or the funding, it's about the passion. Yesterday, we were a part of the skill development session. And in the last 2 days, the Union Minister and the Secretary and Additional Secretary of Information Broadcasting, they have indicated a lot of positive initiatives that the central government is looking at skill development, because even getting the right people also is a problem. So putting all this together, and of course the Prime Minister also addressing that the toy making and the gaming industry are looking for a huge growth in the coming years, and you have to combine the artistic and the digital skills. I think we are going the right way, especially to the creative sector, when the central government also recognizing everything that the state governments are doing, and they're chipping in with a lot of stuff, now trying to open up a lot of centers of excellence similar to what we have set up in Bangalore. And that only will add to the growth of the entire industry. And I think even the government, if you specifically ask our government and our department, we are also open for a co-investor for the fund that is already available. So if you have private parties also coming in and joining hands with the government's fund that is already available, so I think we can make it a really profitable venture and try to support. Karnataka alone has close to about 100 gaming studios, and majority of them have been opened up by 3, 4, 5 passionate guys who have come together and opened up, and they're really doing well. So I think all this together will help in building the ecosystem, and we're heading the right way. With the government support, with the industry support, with the investor support, I think we'll be able to do a great job and make India as the example in this sector, which is very soon to happen. Since Hollywood movies are getting done here in Bangalore, I'm not surprised that everybody will come to Bangalore or Karnataka or India to get the job done, and also Atmanirbhar or our local things getting done. So I think we're also coming out with a lot of stuff. So local IPs are going to have a rocking time going forward.
Thank you, Srinivas.
I just want to add that we don't want government to give us money. We just want you to mandate every kid to play gaming for 1 hour every day.
That's a good one. I should suggest this to the government. Yeah. Yeah.
I think not just gaming, but I think across the whole AVGC sector, I think animation, I think this whole business of virtual productions on the film side. I think VFX, already we've seen some interesting shots being created for global distribution out of India. I think on the comic side as well, we are seeing some very interesting startups. From my perspective, I'm associated with the Stealth Mode startup right now, which is attempting a very big global play in comics out of India. So I am seeing a lot of interest across the board, and I wish all of you a great deal of success in all your endeavors. And hopefully, we will see the emergence. I think the flattening of the world from when Thomas Friedman wrote his book to now is no more evident in this sector than any other sector that is. So I think there is a question of talent, the reducing cost of technology, and this flattening of this, the total globalization of this industry is, I think, going to create a lot of value for all participants. So thank you very much for joining the panel, and thank you for your time. Pardon the small technical glitches we had to get on, and hopefully we'll have a deeper engagement one of these days. All the best.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joe, for moderating the session.